podcast. My name is Cindy Taylor. I'm one of the co-founders here of Affaircare, along with my dear hubby, David. And usually David does more of the, he's more of the background guy. He likes to do the, website things, making various graphics and stuff. So he's pretty shy. He's an introvert, so it happens. So usually I'm the one that does the little videos. This week we're going to end up the year, and I'm doing a little bit of a ending the year with the question that we often are asked about this time of year: how do I survive the holidays when my spouse is in the middle of an affair? Now, this is a pretty regular question here. Like I said, we get asked this pretty much every year, and when you are hurting for the holidays, one of the things that I wanted to remind you is that, not everyone has perfect holidays. I think a lot of people really try for that, but we are all here together, and many of us are hurting for different reasons. Some of the reasons that people hurt, maybe they lost their job, or in various ways there's money issues. And I'm not talking about I don't have enough money to buy, 80 billion presents for my family. I'm talking about, wow, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to eat, or I'm behind on my bills and something's going to be shut off. It feels bad to not be able to get presents for your children when they want them. So, if this is the case that you find yourself in, I would like to remind you that our God is there for you. He cares for you. He's the King of the universe and the creator of heaven and earth. And in 1 Peter 5:7, he does tell us to cast our cares upon him, for he cares for you. Jesus told his disciples that the birds of the air and the lilies of the field do not worry about where their next meal is coming from, and they are arrayed better than Solomon in all his glory. God provides for them, and he will provide for you as well. Now, what happens, though, is that God is not a vending machine. You don't pray, and all of a sudden he $500 in your lap. Maybe that's not what you really need. So, just so you know, it's not a guarantee that the Lord's just going to plop the money in your lap. But he will provide for you. He cares for you, and if you have faith in him, he will provide for the things that you need. During the holiday season, just remember, it's a season of giving and receiving. So it is completely okay to allow others the joy of giving to you. Sometimes it can feel embarrassing, but let people know. And a lot of times people will help you. So thanks for that one. The next one is, what if you're ill? Sometimes people are ill during the holidays, or you just found out maybe a diagnosis that is upsetting you and scary. Are you, just spent emotionally and physically trying to take care of someone, and you don't have the energy to celebrate? Maybe you yourself are facing death. You've been diagnosed, and you know that time is short. In this instance, I would remind you that God has told us that he even numbers the hairs on our heads. In Matthew 10:30, he tells us, and he created each one of us so much so that he numbers the hairs on our heads. He is the great physician. So I'm not saying that you should stop your medication and just only start praying or whatever, but it does mean that our God is capable of healing you emotionally and physically. We all do get older. We all do, at some point, something will end our lives. But in times of illness or caring for a loved one like this, our God is ever present in our times of trouble, according to Psalm 46:1. So during this holiday, this is a time of loving, and it is completely okay to love your ill spouse by serving them even if they can't pay you back. It's okay to be the spouse who is being loved, and give yourself some time to recuperate. Maybe, you won't be doing the typical things to celebrate, but there's no reasons you couldn't make a new little tradition that is something that you could do. Even if you only lie in bed together and unwrap presents, that's fine. Do your thing and just remember that God is there to care for you, and pray about those things. Okay, so are you struggling maybe with personal issues such as like depression? Maybe you have mental health issues. Does this time of year maybe, like trigger some old hurts? Did a loved one pass away, that kind of thing? This time of year is often very triggery for people because they remember what their spouse did with the affair partner, and that can be really hard. So, for this instance, I want to remind you that our God is a God of compassion. Sometimes, issues like this can cause you to feel shame. It can cause you to feel guilty, and you stop praying because, I'm guilty. Why should I pray? But I would encourage you to speak out the sorrow from your soul in prayer. King David wrote in the Psalms, he says, I am losing all hope. I am paralyzed with fear. I remember the days of old. I ponder all your great works and think about what you've done. I lift my hands to you in prayer. I thirst for you as parched land thirsts for rain. That's Psalm 143:4. And boy, isn't that poignant? He was paralyzed with fear. Doesn't that sort of strike a chord with you? Clearly, King David was feeling some of what you're feeling, paralyzed with a trigger or depressed. God knows you're having a hard time, so don't try to hide it. Bring it to the Lord exactly the way it is. Big old gooey blobby mess of emotions. God knows that you're having a hard time. Come to him as you are. And then follow the example further. King David purposefully brings to his mind the ways that God has helped him in the past. So he doesn't just say, I'm paralyzed with fear, and then sort of stay there paralyzed. He trains his mind to remember the days when God was there for him, and to remember the great works and the things that God has done. Do the same now. Where has he changed your life? Where has he provided for you? Remember those days. During the holiday season, don't depend on your spouse or your family to make you happy. Don't depend on your church to make you feel welcomed and accepted. Look to the Lord for these things, because we're human beings. We're going to make mistakes. Your spouse is going to, if they are not in an affair, they are going to maybe not be thoughtful. They maybe, or your family maybe will be a little raucous, and you're wishing they were a little quieter. Your church may be so wrapped up in all the little details of the service that they forget to just give you a hug and say, hey, we're glad you're here. I bet they are. I bet all those people are glad that you're there. But we look at the holidays so often with such expectation, with such a challenge. So I would say, if anything, turn it around. If you're feeling lonely, open your eyes and look and see if you see one other lonely person, and you reach out to them. If you're feeling sad or in pain, open your eyes, look around and see if you see one other person who looks like maybe they're in pain, having a hard holiday, and reach out to them. Maybe it's a coworker. Maybe it's someone else in your family, extended family, cousin or an aunt. Maybe it's a neighbor in your neighborhood. Maybe, that perfect lady at church. Can you imagine the pressure of never, ever being able to be anything other than perfect? It would be hard. And, maybe it's a homeless person or someone in a nursing home that has no one that comes to visit them for the holiday. Imagine how lonely that would feel. So offer to one other person the exact caring and hug that you wish someone would offer you. And this is my holiday. This is how I would encourage you to get through the holidays when you are hurting for the holidays. Next week, we hope to have a wonderful new edition. We're going to be talking about how to help your kids survive an affair. This is not assuming that you divorce or assuming that you reconcile. Just you're dealing with a big mess while there's an affair happening. What's happening to your kids? How can you help them? So we'll be starting that next week. new year with a brand new little series on helping the kids. So look forward to seeing you next week, and thanks very much. Bye-bye.